And now I'm very pleased that we have among us Jadranka Joksimović, the Minister of European Integration of Serbia. Thank you for coming to Budapest, and I ask you to invite you to have your presentation.
Thank you, dear Kinga. We know each other for a long time, and thank you, first of all, dear Judit and Commissioner, my friends Gaspar and Andor as well, and really, honestly, thank all of you to providing us opportunity to address in such an important and significant institution of Hungarian Academy of Sciences. I'm honored to be there in front of all of you and to talk a little bit about not only the current state of play when it comes to EU integration of Serbia, but generally how we can contribute to this important discussion about the future of European Union, or future of Europe, which is, I think, the better sense. Of course, today's dialogue on the topical issue of the future of Europe is boldly framed by the question whether EU enlargement is a key for a stronger Europe, a Europe that has a future. Hungary and the Visegrad Four as a whole, and Slovenia, of course, throughout its presidency of the Council of the European Union, have undeniably expressed their unequivocal commitment to EU enlargement, primarily enlargement to the Western Balkans. I'm certain that that common thread running through all their views on the EU enlargement policy is to being truly what gives an explanation, makes an identification, keeps an aspiration, upholds a vision, and provides a solution. The key to what is, in Churchill's words, a riddle wrapped in a mystery inside an enigma. Because sometimes we should, unfortunately, the current state of play about the enlargement policy, from time to time, it seems that these words in a way, suits to the current situation. What these views affirm is both economic and political actorness of the Western Balkans that is an integral part of the European Union, but misguidedly kept out of European integration, although capable to contribute to the Union that strives for more democracy and development, more freedom and functionality, more stability and sustainability, the better peace and protection of lives and livelihoods. In general, there are still in some EU member states, I would say, incredulous about the enlargement policy and of its very rationale, its purpose and the mutuality, despite the officially adopted credible enlargement perspective for and enhanced EU engagement the Western Balkans, as a clear document coming from the EU Commission. A credible enlargement perspective for and enhanced EU engagement the Western Balkans, even these joint efforts put into devising the enhanced template for the conduct of the EU enlargement to the Western Balkans is again under the siege of politics conceived as a game of paper, scissors, rocks, and turned into a tournament among self-proclaimed nucracy, technocracy, and meritocracy. That is what we have seen for the last couple of years, and this is something that we are facing, all of us from the Western Balkans, more or less, because we are at the different stages of the EU accession process. There are candidate countries, acceding countries, potential candidate countries, but when it comes to the enlargement, I'm sure that we are all sharing this kind of feeling for the last couple of years. The technocracy, which I have mentioned, denies the purpose of enlargement policy, some of technocracies, I would say, since it sees not a single benefit either to economy or democracy coming from the Western Balkans. And that is obviously not true, but we are facing from time to time this kind of perspective. It is not a surprise that both the rock of nucracy and the paper of technocracy are in accord that the future of stronger Europe is in granting to the Western Balkans all cooperation possible except the institutions in a form of differentiated integration in the EU as a substitute for the membership and the sufficient payoff for all improved democracy and functional market economy. All such maneuvers are not new or creative, but more reiterative of the Prodis Commission tinkering that the EU is not an infinite extension, but a finite entity. At first glance, this is seemingly neat and objective logic of limits. At the closer looks, it could be seen that such logic is turned inside out to militate against the ever closer union. The Caesars of meritocracy, on the other hand, are making the clean cut of mutuality, and this world view there is now placed in the EU as it is for the others in Europe, or what that alternative to which the EU has no historical duty as it used to have for the former Central and Eastern Europe, or any common will to make with them as the members of the EU a Europe whole, free and stable, as it was provided in the Paris Charter for a New Europe in 1990s, where we have seen the commitment for European Union to itself to be unite from the south to east, from the south to north, and from the east to west, in order to be stable, free, and prosperous and at peace. I think that it is the right time to mention the words of the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, on October the 6th, just 2 months ago, and that was on the very 6th day of the month, so it's actually the 2 months, just 2 months ago, following the EU Western Balkans summit held in Brdo, near Kranj in Slovenia, which I quote: "We want the Western Balkans in the European Union. There cannot be any doubt that our goal is enlargement. But in the meantime, the EU has to deliver. And in particular, the lack of decision for opening the negotiations with North Macedonia and Albania is jeopardizing our standing and our leverage in the region. Our credibility as a partner is at stake." This is the right diagnosis, I think, and EU enlargement partners in the Western Balkans do feel not some EU's enlargement fatigue, but the deliberate cut-off commitments and acting that lacks the credibility. No one is a strong actor, who is a strong actor, will never, ever perform badly on its own commitments. That's the point. Not about specific countries. Are you supporting Serbia or North Macedonia or Albania? It's about the credibility of the process that we have entered by our own political will. Accession process is I would say, meeting of two political wills. On one side, European Union, who wants to be more unified, stronger, more competitive. On the other hand, for the countries from the region of so-called Western Balkan, even I'm very skeptical about the term of Western Balkan, because I always wondered where is the Southern Balkan, because it's part of European Union. Eastern Balkan is also part of the European Union. So we from the Western Balkan, that should be geographically, in a way, closer to European Union, we are actually the only one from the rest of the Balkan not being part of the European Union. I think that there are a lot of, I would say, talks and narrative about geopolitical strategical interests and the lack of narrative considering the common European vision. Because if we only talk about geopolitical ideas and geopolitical goals and strategical goals, then we have to identify what is strategical goal. If you need some kind of, I would say, instruments and logistic for, in order to reach your strategical goal, you need at least a lot of attention to the subject you want or you consider as a strategic goal. You need financial resources, and you need, of course, a clear plan. So sometimes I'm not very happy to listen all the time about geopolitical goals, because then I don't see a whole of, I would say, logistical needs that you have to provide. Even there are some good attempts that Commissioner Varga mentioned throughout the economic investment plan and credible strategy and new methodology, revised methodology, but we have to be very clear on, I would say, strategical interest of European Union on one side, and of course, on the other hand, from us coming from Western Balkan, but never to forget that the idea of European Union is a vision for all European nations to be united and to be at peace. When I say united, I'm not like a federalist, I'm not providing any kind of support for federalistic approach, not for some kind of nationalistic approach. I only see that the future of EU nations and countries is in their natural borders, and I think that is also including Western Balkan as well. On the other hand, when we talk about the strategy and instruments for achieving these goals that I also will once again quote Commissioner Varga about the revised methodology, economic investment plan, and all other things that we have mentioned here. I think that Serbia did everything it was necessary. We accepted new revised methodology immediately. We didn't know what will be the content of the new methodology, but we have shown trust in good intentions and the best intentions of European Union and member states to provide more credible, more predictable process, which will be easier to understand for, on one hand, our people, our public opinion, on the other hand, to give us clear path how we can improve and make it faster, our process, if we deliver on our obligations. I think that Serbia helped to European Union in some way because we are the only accession country who has been fully ready for the new methodology. I have personally transformed all negotiation structures in our administration in order to meet criteria of new cluster methodology. Instead chapters, now we have cluster of common European politics that we are negotiating, gathering together all 35 chapters into 6 clusters, from rule of law, internal market, inclusive growth and competitiveness, to green agenda and sustainable interconnectivity, resources, agricultural policy, cohesion policy, and the cluster 6, it's a foreign affairs and foreign policy. So we accepted that and we started to prepare ourselves to be ready to open at least one cluster. Even we have been, in a way, phrased for all activities done in the frame of the cluster 3, competitiveness and inclusive growth, and cluster 4, green agenda. And I'm very grateful to Commissioner Varga because in the latest progress report, country report for Serbia, European Commission in a way suggested to member states to open 2 clusters with Serbia at the upcoming intergovernmental conference during the Slovenian presidency, cluster 3 and cluster 4. In parallel, we were conducting and in a way delivering very, very difficult and demanding reforms in the area of rule of law, which is a precondition as a matter of so-called imbalance clause in our accession process, that there will be no progress if there is no previously progress in the area of rule of law and Brussels Agreement implementation. So in parallel, during the most difficult 2 years for the whole humanity, we haven't complained. We were not complaining and crying that it's not fair that you are changing the rules of game in the middle of the game. We have started our preparations and we have done and finalized all necessary activities for the most important judicial reform in Serbia, the constitutional amendments which will change the way how we nominate judges and prosecutors in Serbia in order to reduce the political influence and to give them more, to give to the judicial branch of power more in a way efficiency, but also more independent, to be more independent from any kind of political influence. I think this is extremely important, and I think this is something that is showing clear commitment of the government of Serbia and the people of Serbia, because at the end of the day, people of Serbia, citizens of Serbia has to improve this, to approve these changes at upcoming referendum that we have been already fixing the date. It's the January the 16th. So our citizens will go and vote on referendum for these extremely important constitutional changes. So this was the precondition for the our new steps in the accession process, opening cluster. We hope that we can open both clusters. To be very frank, I think that now it's a reality that we will maybe open one cluster, cluster 4, which is very important, and it's very charming these days because it's about the Green Deal, it's about the sustainable interconnectivity, and gives a clear frame for the new important European Union investments in Serbia when it comes to the green projects, I would say, and in a way to help Serbia and maybe also for the others in the region of so-called Western Balkan to have a smoother transition to the green transformation that we all need, because it's a very demanding process, it's a very expensive process, and before we see how the Just Transition Fund will be available for us as well from the region of Western Balkan, we need some important investments in this area. So I think that opening of the Cluster 4 will definitely give a good frame and solid frame for the future investments from the European Union coming into the green deal of Europe that has been in a way well prepared for the Western Balkan throughout the green agenda for the Western Balkan that have been signed in Sofia a year and a half ago. So more or less, I wanted also to say many other things about the future of Europe, maybe in a more theoretical way, but wanted to use this opportunity in front of all of you to present what we have done and to show that being courage is also important in this process. Not to blame all the time European Union, not to blame some member states, because there are a lot of problems among European Union member states in different ways. But for us, it's important to show that we are dedicated. Even in those most difficult 2 years. That's why I think that what we have done is, in a way, even more important to show that even during the crisis you can do, if you want something to upgrade your reforms in different areas. And I want once again to tell you, really honestly, how much we appreciate Hungarian support. Because now we are in Budapest. Even we are sometimes criticized for Hungarian support because of some disputes and maybe some problems between Budapest and Brussels from time to time. We are, in a way, sometimes accused that it's not for us so good to have Hungarian as the best supporters. We are good neighbors. We have improved our relations. You are very important to us. Your people, people of Hungarian minority in Serbia, are well integrated and excellent, I would say, bridge for our future cooperation, and we cannot have this kind of luxury to lose your support, and we are very grateful and thankful to you, and we will never say no to your support. On the contrary, we would be very happy to have you as our supporters, and I think that is the best way to show how European values of good neighborly relations and continuous dialogue will make a clear benefit for our countries, but also for the future of European Union. Once again, thank you for organizing this high-level event, especially in this building, especially among this audience, and you will have really always good friends in Serbia. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Joksimović. Thank you, dear Jadranka. Thank you for your very nice words and for the whole presentation you gave to us. You can count on our support, for my support, for my colleagues' support from the Fidesz delegation, also in the European Parliament.